In Update Image 36, Human Resources provides the modernization and fluidization of job data functionality that enhances the user experience for HR administrators and representatives. The key enhancements include Fluidized Job Data pages, configurable search, an activity guide to streamline data entry and validation, drop zones to minimize customizations, and the ability to add attachments and review and approve job data transactions. In HCM, job data is an important component since your employee's job transactions and employment history like work location and last salary increase are stored there. HR administrators now have a modern user experience, starting with the Manage Human Resources tile. Your HR administrator can view, update, or enter a new job data transaction using the Manage Job tile. With the configurable employee search enhancement, finding employees is faster and easier. Using the Manage Configurations tile, you can configure job data fields for finding employees. You can configure the field order for display in the search results. Some useful fields for employee lookup are company, department, HR status, or job code. HR administrators now have additional job data fields to use in their employee search and additional information displayed in the search results. For example, HR status makes selecting an employee easier if the employee has multiple job roles and you want to find only the active jobs. Your HR administrator can edit or view the employee's job history or create a new job data transaction. The HR administrator can edit job data in correction mode by clicking the pencil or edit icon. To view job data, click the View Details arrow. The most current effective dated row displays first. Click the arrow to view other effective dated job data transactions. Your HR administrator can view attachments or update other job data related details like time reporter data using the related action. In this example, an employee is receiving a promotion. To enter this transaction into job data, the HR administrator clicks on the Create Job Action button. The HR administrator enters the action and reason for promotion. This employee is receiving a salary increase. The Fluid Job Data uses activity guides that provide an easy step-by-step approach for entering the promotion transaction. Customers have frequently modified job data to add custom fields for their business processes. Customizations are expensive to maintain and can slow the implementation of delivered updates. PeopleSoft delivers drop zones to eliminate customizations and use configurations to meet customers' needs. Drop zones are available at the top and bottom of every job data page. 4 additional drop zone pages allow the configuration of customer fields and pages. With the Fluid Job Data, you can add or remove attachments. For example, attaching a manager's recommendation for an employee's promotion. Fluid Job Data adds a validation step so you can view all the warning and error messages in the same place at once. With Fluid Job Data, your HR administrator can see a summary of changes that includes the proposed and current field changes. This ensures the data is correct and identifies fields with missing values before saving. Here, in the summary of changes, the HR administrator notices the compensation error where the pay increase was supposed to be $3,400 and not $34,000. The HR administrator can update the correct compensation amount. Click Validate to recalculate and update the amount. Double-check the promotion transaction in the summary of changes before inserting it as a new row into the job data. The update has been successful and the employee will be happy with his promotion. Fluid Job Data now includes the ability for HR representatives or business partners to initiate a job data transaction and get approval from the HR administrator before the job data is updated. In this example, we'll show a job data transaction entered by an HR representative that is later approved by an HR administrator. Another employee, Colin, has requested a transfer to be closer to his family. His manager has approved the request and now the HR representative initiates a transfer. With the Fluid Job Data functionality, you can hide tabs and fields using Page and Field Configurator without having to customize your application. Displaying only the pages and fields needed for a job data transaction makes data entry faster and more accurate for HR administrators or HR representatives. To process the transfer for Colin, the HR representative updates the fields for location and tax location. Other fields such as region can be hidden or grayed out, making them viewable but not editable. After the transfer data has been entered, the HR representative can upload attachments for the approver to view. The transaction is ready to be submitted for review and approval. A confirmation message is displayed along with who will be approving the transaction. Approval is an optional step if you want an HR representative to initiate a job data transaction. Betty is an HR administrator who will be reviewing and approving the transfer request using Fluid Approvals. Betty can see the job data details of the transfer. She can edit the transaction before it updates job data. All the details entered by Rosanna look correct, and Betty decides to approve the transfer transaction. Betty can see Colin's transfer job data, confirming that the transaction request is complete. Betty or other HR administrators can view details of the transactions like approval comments using the related actions. Page and Field Configurator enabled us to hide job data pages and fields to make data entry more accurate and streamlined. Using Page and Field Configurator to hide pages or fields is optional for customers. In this example, Page and Field Configurator lets us only show the pages and fields relevant to a transfer transaction, making data entry much faster. The configuration page visibility helps to identify the job data pages to display or hide. In the Configure Field Properties section, you can identify fields to change the label, hide a field, make the field display only, or make a field required. With the modernization of job data, the HR administrators and HR representatives' day-to-day tasks are simplified and can be accomplished faster. Go to PeopleSoft.info.com for all the updates and documentation on the job data modernization feature.